Hello and welcome to Upward Way. I am your host, Marlon Walters. My guest today is an international gospel recording artist, Brian Doerksen. Welcome to Upward Way.
Thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure, and I know that you have quite a story to unpack for us today. So I just want to start with what many persons may want to know. Could you share a little bit about yourself and what you do as a gospel recording artist?
Sure. Um, I've been doing this for over 35 years. I just turned 60 2 months ago. So wow. So it's been a journey since I started this in my early 20s. Actually, I'm talking to you today from this place where I live, and it's a very important place because I was 4 years old when my parents and my brother and I moved onto this little piece of earth outside of a city called Abbotsford, British Columbia, Canada, and near Vancouver, about 2 hours north of Seattle, Washington, just over the border into Canada. And I've been on this place, and this is the property where I first heard the whispers of God, the whispers of love, and that those whispers were the seeds of the kind of music that I sing, even, I think right up to my most recent song, which just came out called Shelter. And there's a connecting thread through all of it about love, about the fact that the Creator deeply loves us, that we as humans are worthy of love, and yeah, and so I just love to to sing love over people and to invite people to come into that love. Even songs of mine like "Come Now Is the Time to Worship" are an invitation to step in. I sing "Come Just As You Are." Like, we don't have to change in order to show up in the presence of God. I understand the maybe the pull to do that because of how we approach human dignitaries and human leaders. We feel like we have to put our best foot forward. Whereas I think with our Creator, we can come as we are, and then we can change. It's like changing because of the experience, not changing in order to earn the experience. But yeah, so it's been a journey, and I think there's a thread through everything I've written and released. I was just thinking about that connection the other day between the first song of mine that kind of traveled the world, "Purify My Heart, Refiner's Fire," which ends with the phrase, "ready to do your will," make us ready to do your will. And what is the will of God? And but but to become more loving towards God, our neighbors, and ourselves. And and then my latest song, "Shelter," the chorus goes, "Everybody needs respect and dignity. Everybody needs love, real love." And I don't know what we're all going to talk about in our conversation, but I could tell you some of the background of what brings me to that point in my journey.
Yes, I'm happy you are going there because that is the question I wanted to ask. What was it that drew you into the music industry? But before you don't respond to that, you just made mention of two songs, and these are two songs that growing up, and even now I still listen. Come now is the time of worship, or come just as you are, and not many persons
Yeah.
may actually would have paid attention to who is actually the voice, the author for these two songs. So I wanted to
Yeah.
know that, those songs are well traveled. So again, what drew you into the music industry to begin with?
Yeah, well, I think it was hearing the whisper of love, the invitation. Um, my dad, he sang in a gospel quartet, fairly traditional, you would call it, um, four-part male harmony quartet. And he's still singing strong. In fact, tonight I'm going to serve with him for a hymn sing where we are there's about 350 seniors gathering in this residence, and my dad and I are going to do an hour concert for them. And my dad's 89, so so yeah, so I grew up with him as an example. My mom was also somebody who was a deeply devout spiritual woman, but a very, very focused, not on judgmental religion, but on compassionate religion, on loving other people, accepting anybody who walked in the door of this home, who walked in that door right behind me when I was a boy and a teenager. And so I think there was that. My grandpa was Peter Doerksen was a mandolin player, so he played. I think I got some of my love of guitar and stringed instruments from my grandpa. But when I was a teenager and I was having my own spiritual awakening, I felt there were some gaps in the music of the church and the way we were expressing our faith musically. I felt like there wasn't enough tenderness and honesty and almost like humanness in our music. It was like we were trying so hard to praise the greatness of God and the Creator. We were losing touch with our vulnerability and our who we are as emotional, fragile human beings. And so I started down my journey trying to express some of that in song. I've always written for the gaps where I perceive, oh, I think we don't have enough songs about, whatever that gap is. And I write into that gap. I don't try and write songs like the ones that are already popular. And I've continued that process through my whole adult life. And I still see gaps, so I still keep writing. And ironically enough, even when you consider Jesus and the Gospels and the stories there, I still find there's many of those stories and of the focus and the themes of the Gospels that we haven't adequately expressed yet. Plus, I think each of us come with our own mother tongue. And by mother tongue, I'm not just talking about language. I'm talking about some style, who we are, how we express things. Like I'm also a songwriting instructor. I help other and mentor other songwriters. And I've done an exercise in class. I'll have like 15 songwriters taking a course with me, and I'll give them all the same seed. And the seed is like the first line of the song, right? And then I'll say, I want you to all go and write a song based on this seed. And when they come back a month later with the song, there's 15 completely different songs because they all have different styles, they all have different personalities. And I do that also to underline, I think there's a when all worship music sounds the same, I think that's a problem. I don't think worship music should all sound the same. That's why I sing and come now's the time to worship. Come just as you are. Like, we don't have to all look the same. We don't all have to sound the same, but we need to have to convey this love somehow in the core of whatever it is we do.
Yes, powerful stuff. And I like the way you put it that we all have different tongues, as you say. It's not so much the language, but the personality, the experience. And
Yeah,
even when we read from the scripture, we go through, let's say, the Gospels or the New Testament, we realize that the authors they had the same experience
yeah,
with Christ in terms of they were eyewitnesses, but when they shared the stories that they or the
hmm,
experience they had with Christ, you could see how differently they
yeah,
conveyed this idea. Um, this I know you have answered a bit about at least the impact on your own life, but still I'll ask, how would you describe the impact of your music or your ministry both on your life and the lives of your audience? Because I'm
mm.
sure you might get feedback sometimes, whether by words or even by observation. What kind of impact um, would you
Yeah. I
say?
mean, the thing, yeah. I mean, some of the great treasures of my journey have been people who've taken the time to write letters thanking me for the music. Just the other day, I had a message from a chaplain at a local prison and describing how, in a very, very difficult situation with a couple of people, they just started singing, a cappella, like, because they're just having almost conversation, whatever, and they start singing "Faithful One," so unchanging, my song, or another letter that came in. Yeah, a person on their deathbed, and the very last thing they wanted to do was sing "Faithful One" together, and then they're literally singing it, and then the person passes away as he's singing my song around his bed. And I get lots of stories like this. I think my focus has always been on the love of God, but also to sing love over the suffering, to try and bring comfort through song. And of course, that's the beautiful thing about a melody and a set of words, right? Like, it can travel into places of need that other things can't travel. And and so I keep leaning into that, both singing, some of the old songs like that, and then new songs like Shelter. And the other thing, see, because when I started this journey, I felt I had two directives. Oh, that's funny. The balloons, because I did this. No, I was just saying number two. The two directives. One was sing love over the suffering, and the other was lead worship with a whisper. In other words, lead it gently. Like, I don't have to shout. I don't have to raise my voice. I don't have to try and, whoa, like make something happen. I just have to gently be myself and let love flow through. And and so I find myself in some situations, you know, where there's, if some shouting and some very loud stuff going on, and it's great to celebrate, and it's great to do all of that, and then along comes Doerksen, and I pick up my guitar and I start singing very gently. It's like, whew, you know, and but you feel this presence. You feel a presence come into the room, that's not generated by human energy. It's not generated by our determination. It's actually when we let some of that go that love comes into the room and we can hear the whispers. And that's my hope and my dream, is that wherever I go, whatever I do, that people will hear the whispers of love. And and you know, um, I I I still need myself to hear the whispers of love, right? Like, the world is a very harsh, confusing place often. And so I find myself, even as a sensitive, artistic, creative person, being quite battered. It's almost like you're being jostled constantly by the things that you're hearing and all the things that are happening. And I need to come into a place of peace. So sometimes I also sing, like you talk about impact. What's the impact? Well, sometimes it's me singing over my own soul, right? You know, to come just the way I am and open myself up to love again. Um, so that's what I do.
Right. So your songs are, in a sense, a personal testimony, and then also ministry to your own
Mm-hmm.
soul, and that is
Yeah.
important. When I listen to individuals who preach, write sermons, they would say that each sermon they write first is a message to them. So if the sermon doesn't speak to them, then they don't feel that it
Right.
they can actually speak to someone else. So I really enjoy listening. And as you talk about that whisper or that quietness, yes, there are times where the musicians, whether the singers or those who play the instruments, believe that it's about the how high, how loud, but it's not all about that. There's more to the
Mm-hmm.
music. So this question speaks to collaboration. I know you do collaborate at times. So
Mm-hmm.
who are some of the individuals that you have collaborated with in the past, and maybe who is one artist you would look forward to collaborating with on a future project?
Oh my, that's I mean, when I think of collaboration, I could think of my producer Philip Jantz, who has produced much of my music over the years, and we were just together yesterday. He's coming with me to do the hymn event with my dad tonight because he produced the Hymns for Life album that I did a few years ago. So, and he's good at all kinds of things that I'm not good at. Um, so there's that, but one of the people that I'm very much collaborating right now with, Marika Seward, who's a black recording artist, well, black mixed race recording artist here in Canada, who is both a worshiper but also a pop artist. And her dad's from Mauritius, her mom's from Trinidad, and but and what happens when Marika and I collaborate is she brings her world and her influences, and I bring mine. But because we have a deep heart for each other, and even for what I would, like racial integration, um, I love doing both writing and recording with her, but also getting up on a stage in some of the contexts where I go in Canada, in smaller towns. The towns are completely white, European background people. And then Marika gets up on the stage and something happens because she brings a bit of her her Trinidadian Mauritius soul. They talking about mother tongue before, and so then all of a sudden it becomes thinking of language, it becomes multilingual, it becomes multi-style. Though she doesn't sound like a typical, like I would call black gospel artist. She's a bit more sounds pop, and she grew up in England. She loves classical music. She loves all kinds of music. Anyway, so yeah, so there's that. That's whom I'm doing a lot of collaborating with these days. Yeah, and I I don't know what I don't know what the future holds as far as how where this is going to go and who I'm going to meet. I mean, I'm involved on February the 1st. There's a global broadcast of the House of Worship project with Michael W. Smith and Darlene Check and CC Winans, and I'm a part of that. I do a collaboration with an artist named Leland out of the States, a new version of Come Now is the Time to Worship on that. So we filmed it and recorded it a while ago, but the world is going to hear and see it in the next few weeks. So, and so I know, some people that are part of my whatever group. They go, "Oh, we're so excited! This is about to come out," and you know, yeah, I don't know, like where that's all going to lead. I don't know. I just take it one day at a time.
It would be nice to hear you with Michael W. Smith. you you both have a similar set of kind of a sound, so that would be something awesome. But as you say, you don't know where or how that is going to lead. So I'm going to toss maybe two more
Yeah.
questions at you, and then I'll give you a chance to talk a little bit more about shelter. So, what advice would you have for someone wanting to? Well, the question I was gonna put is following in your footsteps, but I will tweak it. Not so much following in your footsteps, but would want to, do gospel ministry. And it's
Yeah.
not limited to music, but of course,
Yeah.
because you do music, what advice would you have for such an individual or individuals?
There are so many places of need where people can serve, and specifically when I think of music and new artists or new people that serve that way, I always say, find a place that, say, gospel music would bring healing, bring comfort, bring beauty. One of the things I do quite regularly is I go into my local prison and I do concerts for the inmates. And sometimes people go, "You do what? You go into yeah." Well, because they can't even gather unless the chaplain and somebody from the outside comes and then they get together. So there's all kinds of places like recovery houses, places of need, those places. So that would be one of the things I would say to people. I would say, is when you create something, you want to share it, and I would
Yes.
say find a, some situation like that. Share, and also don't despise sharing something with one person. I've actually done that too, where you write a song and then you go and you sing it for one person. It's not about bigness. It's about
Yes.
it's about flow. It's about service. It's about love being exchanged. And the thing is, when you serve one person, almost always they do something that serves you back, and it becomes this mutual exchange. It's not like, I'm the anointed one and they're the whatever. No, no, no. We're both loved, if we can use that word, anointed by God as humans in the image of Creator to give and receive love.
Yes, brilliant. As you share that story about finding people, and I will zero in a little bit on even if it's one. I remember when I was at university, I my friends and I we sang in a group and we went to a church. And I remember somehow when we were to sing, the body language wasn't so positive. And I remember the group leader saying, "Listen, we need to take this seriously." if we went to a larger congregation, we would have been more positive in how we were operating. But because
Yeah.
it's a small church in the countryside, you may think, but he says, no, there are souls here. And that stuck
Yeah.
with me to say it doesn't matter where or when, you should always, let's say, put your best
Yeah.
foot forward or give your, present your
Yeah.
A game, because it's not about numbers, it's about who God wants you to minister to. So I
Yeah.
really appreciate that. So I wanted to use the next maybe 5 or so minutes to talk about your latest release, this song
Hmm.
"Shelter." I read the backstory for it. You were beside a river when you wrote this song, and I was listening it
Yeah.
just before the interview started, just to let's say get some inspiration. So, um, what led you to this song, and what would you want the listening audience to pull from this song?
Yeah. Well, I think my journey into songs like Shelter starts at the beginning. I think, like I described, there's this thread, like at the very beginning, writing a song like Refiner's Fire, you know, which ends with the song, the phrase, ready to do your will. What is the will of God? It's to become more loving, more caring, more serving of others. It's not to be pure so we can be superior to others. It's about the exchange of love because loved people love people. Hurt people, right? Like there's a connection between what we receive from God and how we treat other people. And the other thing is that, just over 30 years ago, our first son was born. We have four daughters and two sons. And we discovered not that long into his life that he had a condition called Fragile X syndrome and would require full time support for the rest of his life. Okay. And then eventually, it's a long story, I don't have time to say now, but we had a second son with the same condition. So he's now 26, crazy. He has no words other than no, me, mama. He's got like, well, three words. I say he gets everything he needs with those three words. But because of their coming into my life, into the most intimate place, my family, I began to start seeing the world a bit differently. And the fact is that love is not earned. Love is not earned by our appearance or our performance, but it's given as that unconditional flow from God to us and through us to others. And so when anyway, coming to this song Shelter, there I am by this river, and I've been meditating on the word shelter and how vulnerable humans are. And when we start our life, as a baby, we will die if we're just left out in the elements to survive on ourselves. We can't. We need the sheltering love of other people. And that word shelter started to really resonate with me. And I thought to myself, I want to sing. So I just pick up my guitar and start singing. We all need love and shelter. And away I went. But that chorus, everybody needs respect and dignity. Everybody needs love, real love. You can't say you love somebody if you don't respect and almost dignify just who they are. And of course, I'm thinking about my boys. And we are actually in the process right now of filming the music video for this. And my son-in-law Luke, who married our eldest daughter, we've gone out and we're filming all kinds of people, including a whole bunch of people from the special needs community, people in wheelchairs, people who can't speak, people with Down syndrome, people with all the diversity of the human, and we're filming them singing everybody needs respect and dignity, everybody. And so for me it's just like this. I'm gathering up the experiences that I've had in my life and the people closest to me and then the people around me, and I'm saying hey everybody, you know, let's do this together. Like let's take the love of God and let's share it freely with everybody around us, because we all know that's what this is about. This isn't about being right. It's not about being correct. Oh, I've got the right theology and you don't. So, you know, you're judged by God and I'm not. Like, that's not what this journey is about. This journey is about a journey into love. And, and so I sing in the second verse, we all need to know we're worthy, that we are treasure to our core. Like, again, sometimes religion focuses on, oh no, as humans we are bad, we are unworthy, but only God is worthy. But the thing is, if we're made in the image of God and we're made to give and receive love, sometimes what we need to focus on is not our unworthiness but our worthiness. And then I think about my sons, my sons who can't do anything to earn, to perform, and they are still worthy of love, right? They are treasure. Yeah. So anyway, so that's what was going on. That's some of the backstory, and it's been really neat to go out and sing the song live and watch people's eyes spark. Oh, that's me too. Maybe that's for me. You know, maybe I'm worthy of love too, and that's my hope for the song.
So, as you were saying about unworthy, yes, it's true. We need to realize that we have worth, we have value. And I just want to say something on that. It's your testimony, but I think I have to, because sometimes when I share with individuals about the possibility of working, doing ministry, whether just they are asked to play a role in church, and there are persons who hesitate. And recently, I'm saying it's because we don't really understand our worth or value, the
Hmm. Hmm.
what we have to contribute. So sometimes we look at, oh yeah, I'm not feeling well, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough experience, I can't speak too well, I can't sing too well. We don't realize that we have value to add. And so the moment we realize that God has placed something special in us that we can contribute, then we'll be more willing to minister. But as you
Right.
say, even for those who seem insignificant, they are special needs,
Hmm.
they have so much value to add, because what
Yeah.
I find with special needs individuals, they are always so happy, they
Yeah.
cherish
Yeah.
every single moment, and that is something we can actually learn from. So
Oh, well, you're
they,
you're going to, when you see the music video for Shelter when it comes out, you are going to smile because you're going to see that joy that you've just described on a number of these individuals. We've had such a blast filming with them because they radiate joy, and I get so energized being around them.
yes, because even at our local church, one of our members, she's a nurse, and she works with some special needs individuals, maybe within the last 3 or so years. And so she invites the church to go and to have worship with them. And when you see those pictures, I mean, I've only been able to
Hmm.
go once, but when you see the joy on their faces, man, it's something.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
when you minister to a normal looking person, sometimes the expression is so stoic. So
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
you go. So I mean, well, how can listeners get in touch with you? And what's the next step for them
Hmm.
to get started with you? I mean, I know you share that you go to prisons sometimes, care homes, you have different concerts. So let's say someone would want you to visit their care facility, that kind of a thing. How do they connect
Yeah.
with you, and do they have to be on a long waiting list or that kind of a
Oh.
thing?
Well, it's how they can connect with me. They can follow my Instagram page. But the easiest way, if they want to actually have a dialogue, is just go to briandoerksen.com, BrianDoerksen.com, And then if you click on contact, you can find out, on the web page, there's like all the things I'm doing. We're updating it all the time. If they're interested in me coming to like do an event, they just click on the booking page and we describe some of the different options of how I can serve through music. And if they click on contact, the email opens up and the email comes straight to me. We're not a big ministry. We are just, my wife Joyce and I, and my son-in-law Luke, and daughter, and we're just in a sense that way a small family music ministry, and we love interacting with people and we love serving people. And then the other thing is people can go to my YouTube channel and follow, click subscribe to my YouTube channel, and then when like the shelter music video comes up, there it'll be. And we just love serving people. We also, make short films. We've done a couple of Christmas films. We've done one film in and around the hymns. We're now doing about long love, encouraging people to have long, faithful love in their marriages. We're doing a special event on Valentine's for that. So we're up to, we're up to a few things, but if they go to briandoerksen.com, they'll be in touch. And they can sign up for the newsletter too. And then about once or twice a month I send out a note with some reflections of what's going on in my life and in the world, and then links to, things that are happening.
You say it's a small team, but the impact it's massive.
Mm.
Yes. So well, um, thanks, Brian, for taking the time out to come on Upward Way podcast to share your story. For my listeners, we have been listening to Brian Doerksen. He's a gospel recording artist. He has been in music for more than 30 years, and he says that he's already a senior citizen, but he doesn't look or sound like a senior citizen. So, Brian, just before we go, is there any parting words you'd want to share with our
Mm.
listeners?
Wow. Yeah, I mean, the reality is every single one of us are going through struggles, challenges. This is not an easy time, but because of the speed of change, but there are some things that don't change. God doesn't change. The fact that we're deeply loved doesn't change. And I believe that what we need in our life is being provided for us all around us and inside us. I encourage people, as they go out, maybe they're walking to work, maybe they're going for an exercise walk, maybe they're whatever, to open their eyes and look at the world around them, to look at the people around them, to look at the trees, to listen for the sounds in nature, and to just take those things as gifts and as windows to that love that is everlasting. And take a deep breath. I've started practicing breath prayer in recent years, and I found it to be incredibly helpful. When I get anxious or stressed, I slow my breath down, and I add a breath prayer word like Abba, which is the word that Jesus used to address God, which is an intimate word like Father, Papa, Daddy, like, and I just, it's just some simple practices, but it is about gratitude and about seeing and receiving love through the gifts and the people that are around you. So I hope everybody knows how deeply they are loved, that they are worthy of love, and they are treasure to their core.
We are all worthy of love, and we are a treasure
Mm.
to our core. You've been in tune to Upward Way. Do join us again next week when we'll have another interesting guest sharing his or her story of faith. Of course, we invite you to subscribe to weekly episodes on the Apple, AWR, Loud Voice, Spotify, Stitcher, or Podcast Guru apps. You're also welcome to visit Upwardway Facebook and YouTube page. Click like and leave a comment. Until then, I'm Marlon Walters saying goodbye. May God bless you.